workstation. Download it right from Autodesk's website. Now, there are several installation tools and utilities that you can use, and you can create a deployment. These are tools that will help you to create an installation file that you can use over and over again, so you don't have to do all these same steps. Plus, it will allow you to preset some of the settings. Now, that's a lot more advanced than what we really want to do here. For the purpose of this training video, the 30-day trial will be more than enough time to go through the whole thing. And this will give you a chance to try out AutoCAD 2014 before you buy it. But if you have purchased it, these instructions will work just as well. One thing you might want to do before you get started is click on the Systems Requirements. That will bring you to Autodesk's webpage and will tell you what you need hardware-wise for your computer to run AutoCAD 2014. Click on the Install button when you're ready to install and follow the instructions. I'm here in the United States, so that's my selection. You pick wherever it is that you live. Read this license agreement and click on I accept if you want to install it. Click on the next button, follow the on-screen instructions. Now again, I'm English. This is going to be a standalone license type. It's not a network license type. The difference between a standalone and a network license type, a network license type is obviously for use on a network, and it shares out the license so that one person on the network can open it up, close it down, then somebody else can open it up. Now, standalone means it's installed on one particular machine and that machine only. If you've purchased AutoCAD, then enter in your serial number and product key here. Otherwise, click this button and you'll be able to use AutoCAD for 30 calendar days, starting on the first day when you install it. Even once that 30 days is up, you can still go in and enter in your product information. You just won't be able to use it once it's finished. Once you've entered in your product key or clicked on the use the 30-day trial, it will bring you right here. Now, there are two main programs to install. One is the Autodesk AutoCAD 2014. That's your main program. And then there's another add-on called Autodesk Recap. You don't have to install this, and we're not really going to get into it in this training video. So go to the Autodesk AutoCAD 2014 button here, click on this down arrow to configure your settings. There are a couple things on here you're going to want to add, and make sure both of these are selected, the Exchange App Manager and the Exchange Featured Apps plugin. Now, for your installation type, I suggest you click Custom and pick this box here so that you have a green check mark and install them. When we're done, just click on this button and that'll pop that back up. Once this is all set, click the Install button. So AutoCAD 2014 has been fully installed. Just click Finish, and if it asks you to reboot your machine, go right ahead. Then once it starts back up, you can go to your desktop for your icon or go to your Start button and run AutoCAD, called the Welcome screen. That's this right here. It has a lot of different areas in it, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later on. You can close that if you want, and you don't ever have to see it again. Otherwise, it can come up every time. It's up to you. Throughout this video, I'm going to use the term out of the box. When I say something is out of the box, I'm referring to the default settings of AutoCAD. So, out of the box, AutoCAD will open the default template file when you turn on AutoCAD. That's this file right here. See all these grids and lines? You're actually inside an AutoCAD file. So you can start drawing right away, like with the line command, and you can just start drawing lines, making any shape that you would like. You can even add some circles, a rectangle, and you can just go right ahead and start dimensioning these shapes. There you go. If you don't want to start working in this file that pops right up, you can open up another file to work on. We'll go into that in greater detail later on, but I wanted to give you a run through of everything so that it will make more sense to you when we detail it out. So let's take a look around the interface here so that you can familiarize yourself what everything looks like, what the areas do, what the terms are that we're going to be used for them. So this big open area on your screen right here is called the drawing area. This is where your drawing objects will go. As you move the mouse around, the crosshair moves left and right. It goes left and right, up and down, diagonal, in a circle, etc. When you move into the interface area, the crosshairs turn into an arrow. That's up here, their interface area. And this area, which you're going to interface with the software, has different sub areas and different names for them all. This big red A design up here is called the application menu. Think of it as an old file button and pull down menus that software used to have. So the application button, if you just left click on it, it'll bring up a lot of different options for you. This application button is where you go to open files, close them, save them, print, along with some other options, and we'll talk about some of those later on. Just to the right of the application menu, this is called the QAT, Q-U-A-T. That stands for Quick Access Toolbar. So we have quick access to some tools. So we have New, Open, Save, Save As, Plot. We have Undo and Redo, and this here controls our workspace. We'll talk about that later on. The main interface tool is the drawing area because that's where your drawing is going to take place. But the main tool for entering commands is the ribbon, and that's this right here. It's the ribbon that spans across your screen. The ribbon is a tabbed area that contains panels within each tab. Each panel has a themed set of commands in them. Switching tabs will activate different panels, and if you click on the command icons, that will execute the commands. If we go to here, the Home tab, and left click on it, that brings up our main tools that we're going to use the majority of the time. These are for 2D drafting and a little bit of text, a little bit of block manipulation, our layers, grouping, and other utilities. The Insert tab has commands in them that will bring other objects into our file. Annotate is where you'll have all of your controls for your text, your dimensions, your leaders, tables, and other tools. Layout controls the different sections, the way you will lay out your drawing. So if any of these commands that you want to get to, you just click on the appropriate tab, find a command like the line command here, which is in the draw panel, left click on it, and that will start the line command. Now I can draw a line. When you're in the middle of a command, you can get out of it in a couple of different ways. One is to press the escape key. The escape key is nice and easy and straightforward. If you hit that, it will unselect anything you've selected. It will cancel any command that you're in, no matter where you're at in that command. So you'll use the escape key quite often. But if I draw a line and I press enter, I get this menu. And I can hit enter and it will act like I'm canceling out the command. If I start another command again, as an example, press enter, I can hit cancel or go to some of these other objects. Now if I'm drawing another line, or any command for that matter, and I hit the enter key, that will cancel my command as well. So there are a lot of different ways to do everything. So that's why I wanted to go over this stuff with you. Another way to execute commands in AutoCAD is through what's called the command line. It's found at the bottom of the screen. That's this right here. When you put your mouse over it, it will highlight to let you know that you are selecting it. You can directly input commands right into it by typing on the command line, like the word line. Now you notice here as well that as I started typing, it also popped up right by my cursor. Well, this is, if you've used AutoCAD prior to the release 2009, you might want to turn those back on. It might help you be more familiar with it. You can always switch your workspace environments to the AutoCAD Classic mode, and that's up here. Click on this little arrow here, and if you select AutoCAD Classic, the ribbon goes away, and it will also open up tool palettes, and it will also bring in some toolbars. You have your classic toolbars and some other commands, and the command line is down at the bottom of the screen, stretching all the way across back and forth. Now, if you're much more comfortable working this way, then go right ahead. However, I suggest you don't. I found it to be much more efficient to use the ribbon and use the keyboard as your primary source of input. Here's one reason why. There are some tools over here. These are your basic line commands and polygons, rectangles, arcs, circles, etc. If I want to use them, I can. I come over here, I click on them, and it works just the same way. That starts the line command, and I've drawn my line. But then I have modification tools over here on this toolbar. I can come over here and click on any of the commands, like the erase command, and start erasing. If you don't want to work in this and you want to put it back, just come right back up here to the quick access toolbar, click on the box, and click on the drafting and annotation tab. I suggest that this is how you work. This is how I'm going to be working throughout the video. You'll have an easier time following along because I show you where to go in the ribbon to find the commands. I'll even show you some tips and some tricks on how to find commands that are lost or that you can't find. Now that's kind of just a basic overview of what everything is. And all these things that we talked about here, we will. Before we get started into our training sessions, I wanted to have you work with a small project that will incorporate some of the basic functions of AutoCAD. Don't worry about understanding everything here or anything really. This project is meant as a sort of icebreaker, like an activity at an opening of a party to help guests get to know one another so that they can enjoy themselves more. We'll start AutoCAD if you haven't already. Now press the F8 button. The command line down here should say Ortho On. If it doesn't, press the F8 button again until it says Ortho On. This setting forces lines to be drawn horizontally or vertically. Now let's start the rectangle command that's right up here. If you don't see that box, click this arrow and pick rectangle. When I say pick, I mean a left click. If you need to right click, I'll say right click. We're going to pick our first point, and you can pick anywhere. It doesn't matter right now. Pick a point, and we're going to make this rectangle 50 units wide by 30 units tall. So well, how do I do that? Well, as you move your mouse around, you'll see it's asking for a second point for our rectangle. You see the dynamic box there. As I move it to the right, what's highlighted in blue on my screen says 10.0899. If I go to the left, it says 4.2578. Well, that's my horizontal distance for my rectangle. I want that to be 50 or 50 units. Now press the tab key, and it takes us to the other box. I want that to be 30 units. So type in 30 and press enter. Now double click on your scroll wheel. That will perform what's called a zoom extents. It zooms all the way out so that you can see everything in your file that you've drawn. You can use your scroll wheel on your mouse. If you scroll it back and forth, you zoom in and you can zoom out. You're not changing the file in any way. You're just changing the way you're viewing it. If you click and hold the scroll wheel, you can pan around. Again, you're not changing your drawing any, you're just changing on how you're looking at it. Now we're going to use the offset command. Come up here, click on the ribbon, click offset, and then type in 0.5. It's a decimal point, then the number 5. Press enter. Pick anywhere on the rectangle, left click, and move your cursor, the crosshairs, to the inside. You should get a little preview of what you're going to do. We're copying that line work and offsetting it, or making a parallel copy of 5 units away. Click with the left click somewhere inside there, now press the escape key. The escape key will cancel a command. You're going to find out that you're going to use it quite a bit. Now let's open up the tool palettes. Press Control and 3 at the same time. This is a palette. They are very useful, and there are many different ones that we can use. Click on the Architectural tab. This will bring up a set of blocks. Blocks are sets of line work that are grouped together to act as one unit. You can use them many times, copy them, rotate them, and just copy and copy and copy. So in cases like this, we want to pick a door block. Just go up to the door imperial, click it once. You may have to wait a few seconds. And then click again. Now if it comes in really big like this, that means we have a problem with scale. Some of our units are not set up correctly, but that's okay for what we're trying to do. So we're going to use the scale command, start it up right here in the ribbon, click the door, press enter, pick a point anywhere near the door, and then put in 1/12. Press enter. And the problem is the drawing we're using here was set to feet, and the block for the door was set to inches, and so AutoCAD automatically scaled it. It's our fault, not AutoCAD's. That's okay. Now we're going to move this door. We're going to put it somewhere on the wall. Type in the letter M for move. Now you can see that the command is right up here. You can use that command, or you can type commands in on the keyboard across the command line. Either way works fine. Press enter, and then pick the door. You can just pick it with your mouse. If you miss and you get a little window that looks like this thing, that's okay. Move it to the bottom and to the left of where you picked originally so that you get this green background with the dashed lines, and then cross that window across the door. That's called a crossing selection window. Click again. So you've picked it. Press enter. Type in these letters, E and D. This grab an endpoint of an object. And that's what we want to do. We want to grab the endpoint of this line for the door. Left click. Now press the F8 button again. That will turn off our ortho setting. Otherwise, we were locked into just moving either left, right, or straight up and down. With your scroll wheel, scroll out till you can see your rectangle, and then scroll in. Now type in NEA. That's another snap point. It's called near. Press enter. And now just go somewhere on this bottom line, and so that you see that little green hourglass looking glyph. That's the nearest glyph. Then left click. We've put a door in here. Quite simple. Now we're going to use what's called the trim command. So come up here, select trim, and pick down here to the left in the bottom of that door. Now move up to the right so that that blue area encloses the entire door. So it's all inside. This is called a selection window. To the bottom left is called a crossing window. This is a selection window. Everything inside here will be picked. Now left click. Now pick here. Now press enter. Now pick on the walls. Click here and click here. Zoom in, and we're going to click here again. We've just trimmed our wall. Right click and then press enter. So you've just drawn a wall for a building and put a door into it. I know it doesn't seem real fancy, but these types of things are what you're going to be doing over and over again. Let's put some text in here. Click on this big black A, the text command right here in the ribbon. Pick a point, move to the right and down, just eyeball it how I've shown you here. We can adjust all of this later. Left click again and type in garage. When you're done, just click somewhere around outside of this area. This is the text editor. You can see the ribbon changed. It's called a contextual ribbon tab. It changes based on the context of the commands you're doing. It brings up a temporary ribbon tool so that you can have the tools available for what you're doing. Click outside, see it goes away. And now we have our text, but it's kind of small. Select it again, just pick somewhere arbitrarily up here, cross across the bottom, pick again, we've selected that, hit the scale button, zoom in, click right below it, and now drag your mouse up until you can see it. We're making things bigger with the scale command. There you go. And let's go back to our little tool palette here. Click on the Vehicles Imperial. Pick in here again. And we're going to use that scale trick again. Use the scale command. Pick what looks like part of this car. Press enter. Pick a point down here. Left click it. And then type in, again, 1 divided by 12. Enter. We just put in a car. Select the car. And you see, if you zoom in, this blue box and this blue triangle. Click the blue triangle. And let's go with the sports car top. We have different options. This is called a dynamic block. This block has some preset designs to it, and you can change it on the fly. Right now, we're set up to a side view of a sports car, but if I click sports car top, it changes to the top view of a sports car. Zoom out and press the escape key. Come up here to the move command, click move, select the car, left click it, press enter. Pick a point anywhere, and now move it up a little bit. As you can see here, most of these AutoCAD commands have a series of events that have to happen. You start the command, whatever it is, and then you pick your first point. Type in MID for midpoint, press enter, and we're going to pick down here. Zoom in with your scroll wheel and get that green triangle. You see that green triangle? That's a midpoint glyph. That's an O snap. It's snapping right to the middle of that line. Left click. And come up here, type in PER. That's an O snap for perpendicular. Press enter. And we're going to zoom in a little. You can even pan. And you see that little right angle looking symbol for the glyph? That's for a perpendicular O snap glyph. left click, press enter or escape to finish your command, and you just drew a line. So these are just some of the basic tools that you're going to learn how to use. You're going to learn how to draw some lines, use different shapes like our rectangle, offset them, copy them, trim them, insert other objects into your drawing, and draw a line, draw 2 lines. You can even draw some circles for whatever they need to be. It seems a little overwhelming right now with all of the buttons and all the panels that are up on the screen. I understand that. We're going to break it down and look at one thing at a time, and then we're going to show you how to apply them to a project. And we're going to slowly build on that project more and more until we work on our final project when we make a design drawing for a small movie theater. And in the application menu, you will now see this triangle cone red shape for the letter A. Besides the different look to it, the functionality of everything else is the same, but that's the logo. Another addition is file tabs. File tabs are a carryover from a third-party app that they've been making available for us, but now file tabs are native to AutoCAD. They're part of it. I have 3 files open right now, drawing number 2, which has nothing in it, ice rink example file, which has a couple of tabs, and the cottage plan and elevation drawings. As you can see, when you hover over the file tabs, you get a preview of the different model space and paper space tabs that they have in them. These are all blank in this file. Now the ice rink file has a model space, and when you hover over these other tabs, it gives you a preview of what it's going to look like in your drawing area. And that's a nice little thing. And if that's what you want, just click on it, and that file is activated. Now every file that you have open will be listed up here. When you make changes to your drawings, it will put a little asterisk up there that will tell you, hey, you've made changes, but you haven't saved them yet. So when I hit Control S to save, that'll go away. If you open up an AutoCAD file as read only, there will be a little lock icon in the file tab. So if you want to close a file, just click on the X, that'll close the file. If you want to make a new file, you can click on this plus sign and open up your template file. Click open, and it creates a new drawing. You can always rearrange these tabs. Just left click and hold, and then drag it. Put them in whatever order you want. Otherwise, it puts the file tabs in order that they were created or opened, whatever the case might be. If you right click on any of the tabs or in this open space here where the tabs would go, you get options. New file, open a file, save all, that'll save all of your open files, or close all. Now, if you right-click on the tab specifically, you get a few more different options. Save as, save all, the regular save, and then close all except this tab. In this file, since it's one that's been saved, I can copy the full file path, or I can open the file location. This copies the file path so that I can paste it into an email, into notes, into text, or wherever I want. And that's a really nice feature. This is the open file location. These 2 items alone make file tabs fantastic. Now, if you don't want to use them at all, that's fine. You don't have to. If you go to your View tab on the ribbon and go to File tabs, that'll toggle them off and on. For most of the video series, though, I'm going to have them turned off just to save some space. Another cool thing that they've added to AutoCAD 2014 are a lot of command line features. Right now I have dynamic input turned on, and you're going to see some of these features. So if I start to type in a line command, you'll see dynamic input start to populate a list. That's with the autocomplete. But if I turn off the dynamic input, we're really going to see a lot of the features added into it here. Now, when I type in the line command, it populates a list of the different commands that start with the letters L and I, because that's all that I've typed in. I can come in here and I can click either of these and we'll start that command. One of the cool things about AutoCAD 2014 is that it remembers the commands you use. It keeps track. So if you use the line command often, it will know that. And so as you type in LI, the line command eventually will be on top of this list instead of the list command or line type. That's really nice. Some of the other features right here in the command line, the ability to go right into help about that command. So if I click on this question mark, it'll open up help and it will be about the line command. If I don't want to use help, I can click on this little world thing and it will search on the internet for me for the line command about AutoCAD. Now, not only do you get commands, you also get systems variables. So if I click on this little plus sign, it'll open up the system variables that start with the letter L and I. And that's really nice, so you can get into some of these. If you're not sure what they are, again, you can click right on the help. Or if you have blocks inside your file or hatch patterns, something like that, it will search for it. Since we have a hatch pattern in the file that has the letters L and I right into it, it will show that to you. And where this is really nice is if you have a block inside your file. So if I go to like the ice rink example file,